More now on those developments, very much in progress right now across the Middle East. The U.S. and a coalition of allies launched strikes against Iran-backed Houthi rebels. They come in retaliation for the Houthis' repeated attacks on commercial shipping in the Red Sea. Joining us this afternoon, JJ Green. He's the national security correspondent for our news partner WTOP, and someone to whom we turn for perspective on what's going on. JJ, great to have you with us this afternoon. This shouldn't come as any surprise. They were warned for a long time, and those warnings got a lot more pointed, and finally they happened starting yesterday afternoon, and for all we know are continuing right now.
That's right, Dave. Thank you very much, as always, for having me. This was something that was designed to essentially send a strong and undeniable message to the Houthis and to Iran. About 60 targets were hit in about 15 or more locations, and they hit radar sites, they hit drone sites, launch capability sites, and airports, etc. And so you may want to know why these targets. Well, radar, clearly, it's because whenever any force launches any kind of action against a target or an adversary, they want to take away their ability to see what's going on, what's coming. So they did that, they went after that. And then there are the drone sites. They've been using these sites to attack commercial vessels in the Red Sea. They wanted to take that capability away. There are also these other launch sites that they've been launching ballistic missiles from. They've attacked Saudi Arabia and other locations across the Arabian Peninsula, including the United Arab Emirates. Those were the main objectives of this operation, to, according to the U.S. and the U.K., to degrade the Houthis' capabilities to create trouble in the region.
This group of combatants, the Houthis, extraordinarily well equipped, and the materiel and the expertise all comes from one place. It's Iran. And you tell me what you think about this. Some of those players that you talked about, Saudi Arabia, for example, have been conspicuous in their silence about this. Ordinarily, you'd expect some sort of a kind of united front. Hey, wait a minute, don't go launching strikes into one of our neighboring countries. They've been fairly quiet. They may actually be sort of tacit in their approval just by their silence.
I would imagine that Saudi Arabia would be very much in approval of this, because the Houthis have been a massive thorn in the side of Saudi Arabia for years now. And they've launched ballistic missiles at Saudi Arabia, the Houthis themselves, and these missiles came from Iran. You know, rhetoric is a huge thing in this situation. It's really interesting that sometimes we get caught up in the rhetoric and forget about the reality of what's taking place. What is going on from Iran and the Houthis' perspective is that they were trying to force the U.S. and the U.K. and the coalition into doing one of two things: either retaliating for those attacks on commercial vessels out in the Red Sea and run the risk of being accused of launching an attack on poor Yemen, or not doing anything and then being accused of being a coward that's just standing by to let essentially them do whatever they want and basically ruin the credibility of the U.S. and these nations. The U.S. and these nations took decisive action, and this is the thing that I think folks need to understand, is that this was designed by Iran and the Houthis to provoke one of those reactions, and they got the one that they were hoping they wouldn't get.
There's all that sort of, intrigue that goes on between countries. At the heart of this, though, JJ, is the fact that you can't overstate the importance of keeping the Red Sea open to international shipping and commerce. It's not just oil, it's all kinds of things that need to flow through there. Otherwise, and the shipping companies are already having to do this, you're adding at least 2 weeks or so when you have to sail around the Horn of Africa.
Yeah, it's a dangerous place. I mean, 12 to 15, maybe 17% of the world's commerce needs to access the Red Sea, needs to access those shipping lanes. And so basically you have this organization, the Houthis and Iran, de facto holding this area hostage. It's a very dangerous situation for those commercial vessels, but just as dangerous now when you look at the military vessels out there we must not forget what took place in the Gulf of Aden in 2000 with the
Yes.
U.S. Coal. That is a very real possibility now because the Houthis say they're going to strike back. I don't know what capabilities they actually have to strike back with now based on these hits, these strikes that have taken place. But they'll probably try to do something opportunistic or symbolic, but a symbol that's like something like the USS Cole, that would be a massive, massive symbolic thing and essentially plunge the region definitely into an expanded conflict.
Symbolic and tactical as well, too, frankly, because you're demonstrating a capability that maybe the planners don't think. We know about this first wave. Is there likely to be another, or is this sort of a wait and see period? How do they respond? Is there retaliation, or is there going to ground, sort of, I guess you could call it?
I think we'll have to wait and see what that means. I think the Houthis are probably trying to take stock of what just happened.
Sure.
I mean, knew something was coming, but I'm kind of wondering, if they realize yet that this wasn't just a one and done. This was essentially the beginning of something that I don't know that they can actually deal with because there are 14 countries that are part of this coalition,
Yes.
and some of them didn't participate, like France, Spain, and Italy, and some others. They weren't involved in this, but they are still kind of waiting in the wings, hanging around. The Houthis say they're going to look for opportunities to attack U.S. interests in the region and the U.K. interest in the region. So what does that mean? Does that mean embassies? Does that mean terror attacks? Does that mean something other than attacking vessels in the Red Sea? And what does that mean for other countries that are a part of this coalition? If they do something along those lines, I can pretty much guarantee you that the rest of the coalition is going to very quickly join the active list of people engaged in these kinetic attacks. And I can also say, too, that Iran and the Houthis and all of Iran's proxies will probably think a little bit more carefully about what they do next. And that, again, we'll have to wait and see what the Houthis decide to do in the next 48, 72 hours.
We've said it before, and JJ just showed again why we turn to him in these difficult situations. Nobody has a better strategic and tactical view of what's going on around the world. JJ, many thanks.
Dave, thank you as always. I appreciate it.